प्रिंसिपल साइंटिफिक एडवाइज़र टू गवर्नमेंट ऑफ इंडिया प्रोफेसर अजय कुमार सूद जी का हार्दिक स्वागत है। शिक्षा मंत्री धर्मेंद्र प्रधान जी का हार्दिक स्वागत है। शिक्षा राज्य मंत्री श्री सुभाष सरकार जी का हार्दिक स्वागत है। शिक्षा राज्य मंत्री श्री राजकुमार रंजन जी का हार्दिक स्वागत है। ऑल राइज, कृपया खड़े हो जाइए। देवियों और सज्जनों, भारत की माननीय राष्ट्रपति श्रीमती द्रौपदी मुर्मू जी,
जनगण मन अधिनायक जय हे भारत भाग्य विधाता। पंजाब सिंध गुजरात मराठा द्राविण उत्कल बंगा। विंध्य हिमाचल यमुना गंगा उच्छल जलधि तरंगा। तब शुभ नामे जागे तब शुभ आशीष मांगे। गाहे तब जय गाथा जन गण मंगलदायक जय हे भारत भाग्य विधाता। जय हे जय हे जय हे जय 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 हे।
सभी से निवेदन है, बैठ जाइए। धन्यवाद। भारतीय प्रौद्योगिकी संस्थान दिल्ली के निदेशक प्रोफेसर डॉक्टर रंगन बैनर्जी जी से निवेदन है कि वे भारत के माननीय राष्ट्रपति जी की गरिमामयी उपस्थिति से गौरवान्वित संस्थान में यहाँ उपस्थित सभी लोगों को संबोधित करें।
Honorable President Srimati Droupadi Murmu ji, We are delighted to welcome you to the closing ceremony of the Institute's Diamond Jubilee. Your presence on this occasion is an honor to us and is a recognition of the significant and impactful journey of the Institute during the last 60 years. We are privileged to welcome the Honorable Minister of Education, Shri Dharmendra Pradhan ji. We have always counted on your guidance and support and are fortunate to have you here today. Honorable Ministers of State, Dr. Subhas Sarkar ji and Honorable Dr. Rajkumar Ranjan ji, we are grateful to you for gracing this occasion. We are happy to welcome Professor Ajay Sood ji, Principal Scientific Advisor to the Government of India, and are grateful to you for agreeing to deliver the distinguished keynote lecture. I would like to extend a warm welcome to all the ex-directors, chairmen and board members, retired faculty and staff, distinguished invitees, alumni, faculty, staff and students. Today is indeed a day of celebration. On this occasion, in the next few minutes, I will give you a quick overview of the past, present and future of the Institute. Our journey began in 1961. You can see a few early images of the iconic Dogra Hall in which we are seated, the main building and the main gate. You can see the images of the foundation stone being laid, the beginning of the first classes, the first convocation addressed by the then President Dr. Radhakrishnan, and the first major equipment, an electron microscope. We always had a vibrant campus with a lot of fun activities, sports and culture. Over the years, we have grown. As you can see, in the early years, we had only about 400 degrees per year. This has grown to more than 2,500 degrees per year in recent years. Like all other IITs, we started with a focus on the undergraduate program. We have now made the transition to a predominantly postgraduate institute with a focus on research. The diversity in our campus, in our student population has also improved. In the early years, we had just a few girl students in our batch. Today, we have about 29% women among our student population. IIT Delhi today provides an excellent all-round education with an extremely high selectivity and a diverse input. We have students coming from different parts of the country, from different economic and social backgrounds. We make a difference in the lives of our students. I illustrate our transformational educational experience with one recent example. Meet Miss Anu Meena. She came from a small village, Manoli in Rajasthan. She studied in a village school in the Hindi medium till the 8th standard and succeeded in qualifying the JEE in 2011. She joined the integrated BTech and MTech program in biotechnology and biochemical engineering. She was a first generation graduate and flourished at IIT Delhi. She was the Sportswoman of the Year in 2014 and graduated in 2016. In 2018, based on her activities and her startup, she was recognized by Forbes 30 under 30 list for Asia for her startup. Today, her company AgroWave touches farmers' lives. Her story is truly inspiring. Like Miss Anu Meena, we have 56,000 stories of making a difference in our students' lives. Our alumni make us proud and are also giving back to the Institute. Today, our Institute has evolved into a multidisciplinary university. We are no longer only science and engineering. We have humanities and social sciences, design, management, and public policy. We have also started many new undergraduate programs, to name a few: design, energy, materials, and postgraduate programs in many critical areas like electric mobility, cyber security, AI, ML. Our students benefit from a very efficient Office of Career Services, and we have excellent placement with a large number of job offers from leading global and Indian companies. We have an excellent research ecosystem with cutting-edge fabrication, characterization, and state-of-the-art computing facilities. In our campus, our faculty and researchers can make sensors, lasers, drones, batteries, 5G, 6G, telecom infrastructure, SARS-CoV kit, quantum key communication, electric vehicles, solar PV cells, bulletproof jackets, and much more. In many of these cases, we can make them better and cheaper than commercially available products, and hence many of these are also licensed with industries. We are proud of having worked for the CoWIN app, the code on which the current railway booking system works, the graded action response plan for cities for air pollution control, the Badal cloud system used by NIC. We also encourage our students and faculty to translate their ideas into products. We have an excellent innovation and startup ecosystem through our Foundation for Innovation and Technology Transfer and the Innovation Hub for Cobotics. The Institute also leads the Unnat Bharat Abhiyan, a national initiative where we work with 16,000 villages across the country, involving more than 3,000 science and engineering universities to work on rural problems for agriculture, water, energy, and livelihoods. We are fortunate to have a beautiful campus in the heart of the capital. We want to use this campus to create a net zero campus, a smart campus, and use it as a test lab for 5G, 6G, and many other new technologies. We have been fortunate to have been granted land in Sonipat and Jhajjar by the Haryana government. In Sonipat, we are setting up a state-of-the-art atmospheric observatory and high-end research facilities. In Jhajjar, we are planning a healthcare hub working with the National Cancer Institute of AIMS and a sports technology facility. We will contribute to the Prime Minister's dream of making India a developed nation by 2047. Towards this end, we will create a long-term vision for the Institute, IIT Delhi 2047, that will involve reimagining the Institute's infrastructure, enhancing the student experience, revamping the curriculum, enhancing our societal and research impact, and having an international footprint. On this important day in our history, we rededicate ourselves to the vision of the Institute to serve as a valuable resource for industry and society and to be a source of pride for all Indians. Jai Hind.
थैंक यू सर। अब आईआईटी दिल्ली के निदेशक प्रोफेसर रंगन बैनर्जी माननीय राष्ट्रपति जी का अभिनंदन करते हुए उन्हें स्मृति चिन्ह भेंट देंगे। मैं निर्देशक महोदय जी से पुनः निवेदन करती हूँ कि वे आईआईटी दिल्ली के छात्र कुमार साईं किरण द्वारा निर्मित माननीय राष्ट्रपति जी की पोर्ट्रेट चित्र माननीय राष्ट्रपति जी को छात्रों की ओर से उपहार स्वरूप भेंट करें। निर्देशक महोदय से अनुरोध है कि आप माननीय शिक्षा मंत्री श्री धर्मेंद्र प्रधान जी को स्मृति चिन्ह अभिनंदन स्वरूप भेंट करें। धन्यवाद। निर्देशक महोदय से अनुरोध है कि आप माननीय शिक्षा राज्य मंत्री श्री सुभाष सरकार जी को स्मृति चिन्ह अभिनंदन स्वरूप भेंट दें। माननीय निर्देशक महोदय जी से अनुरोध है कि आप माननीय शिक्षा राज्य मंत्री श्री राजकुमार रंजन सिंह जी को स्मृति चिन्ह अभिनंदन स्वरूप भेंट करें। निर्देशक महोदय से अनुरोध है कि आप माननीय प्रोफेसर अजय कुमार सूद जी को अभिनंदन स्वरूप स्मृति चिन्ह भेंट दें। माननीय शिक्षा मंत्री श्री धर्मेंद्र प्रधान जी से निवेदन है कि आप सभा को संबोधित करें।
आईआईटी दिल्ली के इस भव्य समारोह में उपस्थित भारत के परमादरणीय राष्ट्रपति महोदया श्रीमती द्रौपदी मुर्मू जी, मेरे सहयोगी शिक्षा राज्य मंत्री डॉक्टर सुभाष सरकार जी, राजकुमार रंजन सिंह जी, प्रिंसिपल साइंटिफिक एडवाइजर भारत सरकार, देश के प्रख्यात वैज्ञानिक प्रोफेसर अजय कुमार सूद जी, डायरेक्टर आईआईटी दिल्ली के प्रोफेसर रंगन बैनर्जी जी और इस सभागार में उपस्थित आईआईटी के पूर्व छात्र, पूर्व केंद्रीय मंत्री, मेरे मित्र जयंत सिन्हा जी, सभी महानुभव, सभी आईआईटी के पूर्व डायरेक्टर महोदयगण, प्राध्यापकगण, अभी के प्राध्यापक तथा विद्यार्थी भाइयों और बहनों, मैं सबसे पहले नवनिर्वाचित भारत की परम आदरणीय राष्ट्रपति जी का आभार प्रकट करता हूं। पिछले महीने ही उनकी कार्यकाल शुरू हुआ है। शायद आज पहला अवसर है उन्होंने राष्ट्रपति भवन से बाहर आके देश को संबोधित किए हैं और आईआईटी दिल्ली का सौभाग्य है। जब हम आज़ादी के अमृत महोत्सव मना रहे हैं, 75 साल की सफल प्रवास देश ने किया है और उस आजाद भारत में आईआईटी की कल्पना की गई। उस आईआईटी की जब आज डायमंड जुबली पर्व का अंतिम दिवस हो रहा है, आज परम आदरणीय राष्ट्रपति महोदय हम सभी को मार्गदर्शन करने के लिए यहाँ उपस्थित हैं। मैं देश की ओर से, देश की शिक्षा परिवार की ओर से, विशेष करके आईआईटी की ओर से आपका आभार प्रकट करता हूँ। मित्रों, मैं आप और आदरणीय राष्ट्रपति जी के बीच में दीवार और समय लेना नहीं चाहता हूँ। आज की शुभ अवसर पे शुभेच्छा देते हुए 2-3 अपेक्षा आपके सामने रखना उचित मानता हूँ। आपकी नाम है इंस्टीट्यूशन, इंडियन इंस्टीट्यूट आईआईटी, इंडियन इंस्टीट्यूट ऑफ टेक्नोलॉजी। मित्रों, आज़ाद होने के उपरांत शायद देश को लगा, देश की नीति निर्धारकों को लगा, हमें टेक्नोलॉजी पे जोर देना चाहिए। दुनिया में औद्योगिक क्रांतियों का तीसरी दौर की फुटस्टेप सुनाई देने लगे थे। उस समय में देश के नेतृत्व टेक्नोलॉजी आधारित उसको कल्पना किया, वो सही था। आपने उसको सही साबित भी किया है। पिछले 60 दशकों की कई आईआईटीओं की इतिहास को जब हम सिंहावलोकन करते हैं, थोड़ा उसको रिट्रोस्पेक्ट में पीछे मुड़ के देखते हैं, टाइम मशीन में पीछे जाते हैं, हमारा आत्मविश्वास बढ़ता है। अभी मैंने यहाँ देख रहा था आपकी IIT 2047 की जर्नी में IIT आबू धाबी का भी एक सिंबल लगी है। आबू धाबी की मंत्री मेरे को 2 दिन पहले बाली में मिले। IIT को लेने के लिए मेरे विभाग में प्रति सप्ताह में एक दुनिया की किसी देश का अनुरोध पत्र आता है। ऐसे मत मानिए कि इमर्जिंग इकोनॉमी से आ रहा है, डेवलप्ड कंट्री से भी IIT की ब्रांड को लेने के लिए। मित्रों, हम जब पहला औद्योगिक क्रांति हुआ हमको समझ में नहीं आया, हम गुलामी में थे। दूसरे औद्योगिक क्रांति में हम बने मजदूर। कॉलोनी वालों के मालिकों की, हम लोगों की खून पसीना बहाया उनकी संपन्नता बढ़ाने के लिए, उन देशों की वैभवता बढ़ाने के लिए। तीसरे औद्योगिक क्रांति में हम बने सुपरवाइजर। मित्रों, आज जब इंडस्ट्रियल रिवॉल्यूशन 4.0 में हम अभी इस आत्मविश्वास हमारा इसीलिए बढ़ रहा है कि देश की प्रधानमंत्री जी ने कहा है कि 2022 की अंतिम तक देश में 5G इंडिजिनस टेक्नोलॉजी से 5G को रोल आउट करेंगे। 5G के कारण देश की शिक्षा और स्वास्थ्य में बड़ा क्रांतिकारी परिवर्तन आएगा। उसकी एक ही उदाहरण है, आज दुनिया की डिजिटल ट्रांजैक्शन की 40% कंट्रीब्यूशन भारत के लोगों ने दिया है। उसमें IITओं की अवदान अतुलनीय है। मित्राज को आईने आप में से किसी ने बनाई है। दुनिया में कोई डेवलप्ड इकोनॉमी को भी मैं कभी समीक्षा करके देखता हूं, समझने का कोशिश करता हूं कि अपने वैक्सीनेशन होने के कुछ सेकंड्स के बाद हमारी मोबाइल फोन टेलीफोन पे एक सर्टिफिकेट आ जाए, शायद ये बड़े बड़े देशों ने भी संभव नहीं हो पाया। हमारी टेक्नोलॉजी कम्युनिटी ने, हमारी एकेडमिया ने, हमारी नौजवानों ने उसको बना दिया है। मित्रों, मौका आया है 2047 तक। प्रधानमंत्री जी ने कहा और IIT ने उसकी चैलेंज को भी स्वीकार कर लिया है कि 2047 तक आने वाले 25 साल में, अमृतकाल में, हम भारत को विकसित देश बनाएंगे, डेवलप्ड कंट्री बनाएंगे। इसमें कोई संदेह नहीं है। और IIT उसकी लीडर्स बनेंगे, इसमें भी कोई संदेह नहीं। लेकिन मित्रों, मैं एक सामाजिक जीवन के कार्यकर्ता के नाते, भारत की पब्लिक पॉलिसी की स्टूडेंट के नाते, एक IIT को बाहर से देखने के नाते, एक ऑब्जर्वर के नाते 2-3 अपेक्षा आपके सामने कहना चाहता हूं। यू आर नो मोर इंस्टीट्यूशन। बाय पार्लियामेंट्री एनएक्ट यू ऑल आर यूनिवर्सिटीज। यू आर नॉट ओनली यूनिवर्सिटीज, यू आर द मॉडर्न एपिसेंटर ऑफ मॉडर्न इकोनॉमी। 21वीं सदी में वैश्विक नागरिक बनाने के लिए जो सिंथेसिस, जो प्रोसेस, जो लैबोरेटरी होने वाला है, उसकी प्रीमियर पॉइंट IITs होगा। मित्रों, 21वीं सदी में क्या होगा? हाइड्रोजन एनर्जी तक हम अटकेंगे। टाइम मशीन में हम अमेरिका में अभी तक पहुंचते हैं 17 घंटे में, आने वाले दिनों में हाइपर लूप्स की दुनिया में हम लोग शायद 7-8 घंटे में कुछ दिनों में पहुंच जाएंगे। क्या इसी को डेवलपमेंट कहा जाएगा? इसी में हम संतोष होनी चाहिए? या दुनिया के 700 करोड़ लोगों के अंदर, जिंदगी के अंदर कुछ मूलभूत परिवर्तन आ सकता है, इसकी सपना दिखने के काम IIT उसकी है। इसलिए IIT यूनिवर्सिटी से ऊपर है। इसीलिए NEP में आपसे अपेक्षा रखा गया है कि आप मल्टी डिसिप्लिनरी बननी चाहिए। मैं, क्षमा करिएगा रंगन जी, अजय, सूद जी भी यहाँ बैठे हैं और आप जैसे तमाम विद्वान बैठे हैं। मैं बिल्कुल, मेरे जैसे सामान्य व्यक्ति संतोष नहीं रखता है जब आप कहते हो कि हम ह्यूमैनिटीज 2500 में एक डिपार्टमेंट बनाते हैं। आखिर हमारी भारतीय शिक्षा अपेक्षा क्या रखती है? क्या सर्टिफिकेट देना? क्या एक एग्जामिनेशन सिस्टम पे खुद को सीमित रखना? या व्यक्ति की पूर्णांग विकास की कुछ योजना बनाना? हमारी अपेक्षा है, हमारी 21वीं सदी में अगर दुनिया की जिम्मेवारी लेनी है तो हमें व्यक्ति की संपूर्ण विकास की जो योजनाएं आवश्यकता होती है, जो रिक्वायरमेंट होती है, जो रणनीति है, जो नीति है, वो सब IITs में बने और दिल्ली IIT में बने। और दिल्ली की तो कुछ एडवांटेज है। मेरे को अत्यंत खुशी हुई, कुछ दिन पहले रंगन जी ने हमें कहा कि हम कैसे भारत की पार्लियामेंट से जुड़ेंगे। मैंने उनको कहा पत्र लिखो, उन्होंने पत्र लिखा और मैंने उस पत्र को भारत की महामहिम स्पीकर साहब को भी लिखा है कि IIT दिल्ली भारत की पार्लियामेंट की नॉलेज पार्टनर बनना चाहता है। भारत की प्रजातंत्र में हम तो दुनिया के सारा विषय चिंता करते हैं, लेकिन वो सही है गलत है, उसमें क्या होना चाहिए, क्या हो सकता है, क्या सिर्फ हम 2, 5, 10 साल का सोचें या 100 साल का सोचें, ये सारा विषय को हमें कौन ज्ञान देने वाला है, हमारी नॉलेज पार्टनर कौन होगा। हमारी नॉलेज पार्टनर IITs होंगे, यूनिवर्सिटीज होंगे, कॉलेजेस होंगे, एजुकेशन इंस्टीट्यूशंस होंगे। हमारे देश में 75 साल में एक डेफिशिएंसी है, वो डेफिशिएंसी यह है हमारी जितने मात्रा में एकेडेमिया, पॉलिसी मेकर और इंडस्ट्री के कनेक्ट होनी चाहिए वो उतने मात्रा में नहीं है। नहीं है ये मैं नहीं कहूँगा, उतने मात्रा में नहीं है। जो जिस क्षेत्र में काम करता है हमें लगता है हम सर्वश्रेष्ठ काम करते हैं, लेकिन हम एक दूसरे को कॉम्प्लीमेंट कैसे करें, शायद अमृत काल की यही सबसे बड़ी आवश्यकता है। इसी से ही विश्व की समस्या की समाधान हो सकता है। आज हम सब लोग आइए संकल्प करें। प्रधानमंत्री जी ने सपना देखा है, देश को आह्वान किया है, 5 प्रण लेने के लिए, प्लेज लेने के लिए कहा है। जो भी हम देखें बड़ा देखें, गुलामी की मानसिकता से बाहर आके देखें, विरासत को याद रखें, अपनी डाइवर्सिटी इन यूनिटी भाईचारा बांध को ही याद करके चलें। और मित्रों आज सभी लोग अधिकार जाहिर करते हैं, सब अपने अधिकार को लेकर लड़ते हैं। मित्रों किसी की अधिकार तब सुरक्षित होती है अगर कोई जिम्मेवारी लेता है, कोई ड्यूटी पूरा करता है। सरहद में सेना अपना ड्यूटी पूरा करती है तो हम चैन की नींद सोते हैं। हमारी गली में अगर हमारे बहादुर रात भर जगता है तो हम भी निश्चित होकर अपने घर में सोते हैं। किसी ना किसी की तो जिम्मेवारी लेना पड़ेगा। आज मैं भारत की सामान्य लोगों की ओर से प्रजातंत्र की एक प्रैक्टिशनर के नाते आपसे अपेक्षा रखने आया हूं, महामहिम राष्ट्रपति जी के सामने आपकी 60 साल की सफल प्रवास की समय ही अपेक्षा रखता हूं। IITs को ही देश की जिम्मेवारी लेना पड़ेगा, ना केवल देश की, दुनिया की जिम्मेवारी लेना पड़ेगा। तब जाके हम वसुधैव कुटुंबकम की जो हमारी तत्व रहा है उसी को हम साकार कर पाएंगे। आपको इस सब 60 साल की सफल प्रवास के लिए अनेक अनेक शुभेच्छा। देश 25 साल प्रवास करे के 100 साल पूरा करेगा, आप 40 साल आगे ले जाके 100 साल पूरा करोगे। जब दुनिया में हम 100 साल देश की और उससे थोड़ा आगे IIT दिल्ली की हम पूरा करेंगे, हम दुनिया की 1 नंबर की अर्थनीति, एक उपभोक्तावादी अर्थनीति नहीं, जिम्मेवारी लेने वाला अर्थनीति की हम सपना देखें। इसी शुभेच्छा के साथ बहुत बहुत धन्यवाद।
धन्यवाद मंत्री जी। Before the inaugural of the RI Park, may I request the team to play the video on screen.
Welcome to the world of possibilities. Welcome to a new chapter, a new inning at a globally acclaimed academic institute. Welcome to the Research and Innovation Park of the Indian Institute of Technology, Delhi. The Research Park will create an ecosystem of innovation and product development, where IIT Delhi, industry, entrepreneurs, and government agencies will interact and enable development of advanced technological solutions. Spread over 300,000 square feet, the R&I Park has been designed with unique formats and state-of-the-art R&D labs, corporate centers, technology business incubators, business accelerator, technology transfer office, conference facilities to create a modern, flexible, and a creative environment. It shall house about 100 startups under one roof, creating a vibrant entrepreneurial ecosystem showcasing the technological prowess of the Institute. Join us in this new chapter to support, nurture, and enable technologies which will revolutionize India and the world.
Thank you. मैं आग्रह करती हूँ माननीय राष्ट्रपति जी से कि आप अपने कर कमलों द्वारा रिसर्च एंड इनोवेशन पार्क का कृपया उद्घाटन करें। धन्यवाद। मैं राष्ट्रपति जी से पुनः आग्रह करती हूँ कि आप IIT दिल्ली द्वारा निर्मित तकनीकी प्रदर्शनी का शुभारंभ रिमोट द्वारा करें। धन्यवाद। आप सभी से निवेदन है कि बैठ जाइए। मैं माननीय शिक्षा मंत्री श्री धर्मेंद्र जी से आग्रह करती हूँ कि आप भारतीय प्रौद्योगिकी संस्थान दिल्ली की हीरक जयंती के अवसर पर प्रकाशित पुस्तिका एवं IIT दिल्ली के नेतृत्व में चल रहे शिक्षा मंत्रालय के कार्यक्रम उन्नत भारत अभियान की पुस्तिकाओं का विमोचन कर उनकी पहली प्रति माननीय राष्ट्रपति जी को भेंट दें। धन्यवाद। माननीय राष्ट्रपति जी से विनम्र निवेदन है कि आप भारतीय प्रौद्योगिकी संस्थान दिल्ली के हीरक जयंती के शुभ अवसर पर अपने श्री वचनों से संस्थान को प्रेरणा दें।
Union Minister for Education and Skill Development and Entrepreneurship, Shri Dharmendra Pradhan, Ministers of State for Education, Dr. Subhas Sarkar and Dr. Rajkumar Ranjan Singh, Principal Scientific Advisor to the Government of India, Professor Ajay Kumar Sood, Director IIT Delhi, Professor Rangan Banerjee, faculty members, staff, students, alumni of IIT Delhi, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen. I am very happy to be here with you today on this historical occasion. It is historical not only for the IIT Delhi, but also for the whole country. All the teachers, students, and administrators, past and present, deserve rich tributes for raising the bar of educational excellence. Indeed, their contribution was duly recognized in 2018 when the government named it as an institution of eminence. The Indian Institutes of Technology have been the pride of the nation. When this institute started admitting students in 1961, India was a very young republic, still facing challenges of severe poverty and illiteracy. Yet, India was rich in its potential. The IITs proved to the world the capability of India in the domains of education and technology. In more than one way, the story of the IITs is the story of independent India. The IITs have contributed immensely to Indians' improved standing on the global stage today. Your faculty and alumni have shown the world our brain power. Some of those who studied here and in other IITs are now at the forefront of the digital revolution sweeping the world. Moreover, the impact of IITs has gone beyond science and technology. IITians are leaders in every walk of life, in education, industry, entrepreneurship, civil society, activism, journalism, literature, and politics. Very recently, I met a group of IIS trainees and found many IITians among them. Your influence is such that it touches all walks of life. This is also partly due to the fact that the IITs have expanded outside their traditional strengths in science and engineering. They now offer qualitative programs in humanities, social sciences, design, management, and public policy. This multidisciplinary approach is well aligned with the new national education policy. The IIT Delhi, in particular, has upheld high standards of teaching and research. Your faculty members are known for cutting-edge scientific research and technology development too, apart from contributions to society. Many of them have been honored with the Padma Awards, Bhatnagar Prizes, and other notable recognitions. They have also contributed to national and international academies as fellows. The students of the IIT Delhi, past and present, have been among the best minds of their generation. The competition to find a seat in this institute is tougher than that for some of the best universities in the world. Such a selection process reflects the cost of quality. As one of the original IITs, this institution is also a mentor to some of the recent members of the club, namely IIT Roper and IIT Jammu. Thus, the IIT Delhi has contributed significantly in building up of the image of the IITs as centers of excellence across the world. Dear friends, such institutions often run the risk of existing in isolation as ivory towers. That is why it is all the more heartening to note that the IIT Delhi has always seen itself as part of the larger community, and it has been extra sensitive to its responsibility towards society. The latest example of its social concern was seen during the initial phase of the pandemic. Rising to the challenge of containing the virus, the IIT Delhi initiated important research and development projects. It designed, developed rapid antigen test kits, PPEs, antimicrobial fabrics, high-efficiency face masks, and low-cost ventilators, among other things. The IIT Delhi's contribution in India's fight against the coronavirus has been a model of how engineering and technology institutions too can play a role in a public health crisis. The glorious past of this institute gives us an assurance that it will play a crucial role in the future as India enters the Amrit Kal. By 2047, when we will celebrate the centenary of independence, the world around us will have changed drastically, thanks to the fourth industrial revolution. Just as we were in no position 25 years ago to imagine the contemporary world, we cannot visualize today how artificial intelligence and automation are going to transform life. With our high population numbers, we need to have a foresight and strategies in place to deal with the forces of future, where disruption will be a new normal. The nature of employment will get completely changed. If we take steps to protect ourselves from vagaries of the future, we can reap rich demographic dividends. We need to make our institutes adaptable to future. This will require a new teaching learning matrix, pedagogy, and content which are future-oriented. I am sure that with our famed IITs, we will be able to nurture the younger generation with necessary knowledge base and right skills to face the challenge. India will benefit immensely from the next wave of the technological revolution. I am happy to learn that the IIT Delhi is encouraging research and innovation in a big way. The Research and Innovation Park, inaugurated today, is intended to create an ecosystem in which students, faculty, and industry would exchange ideas to give boost to growth and innovation. Looking towards 2047, the climate change poses a serious challenge. As a developing country with a high population base, our energy requirement for economic growth is very high. Hence, we need to shift from fossil fuels to renewable energy. India, as you are aware, has taken a praiseworthy lead in the international stage in promoting solar energy. In the years to come, as the world anxiously looks for technological solutions to environmental challenges, I trust India's young engineers and scientists will help humankind achieve a breakthrough. The nation will have similar expectations from the IITs for their inputs in achieving the Sustainable Development Goal. Dear friends, I believe India has a great talent pool which is yet to be tapped fully. Two sections of society offer rich talent, but these students began accessing educational opportunities in significant numbers only after independence. I am referring here to women and marginalized community. Their numbers in top-ranking institutions have been increasing in recent times. I am glad to see so many young women here today. I understand that female students at the IIT Delhi have done wonderful well. Even during its initial years, they have successfully busted the myth that very few women excel in STEM, that is, science, technology, engineering, and mathematics. Their success motivates more and more girls to consider a career in STEM and break a few more glass ceilings. In making India Atmanirbhar, the contribution of its young women is going to be most critical. To all students here today, I wish to say that you are fortunate to be here and this is the best time of your time. Please use your time in the best possible manner because the way you shape your career and your life ahead will define shape India will take in future. I would urge you to keep in mind the concern to all fellow citizens. I thank the IIT Delhi community for inviting me here today and let me participate in the Diamond Jubilee celebrations. I once again congratulate you all, the administrators, faculty, students, and the staff for making the IIT Delhi what it is. I believe its best is yet to come, and it is destined to scale even greater heights. My best wishes are with you in the journey ahead. Thank you. Jai Hind, Jai Bharat.
आप सभी से निवेदन है कि भारत के राष्ट्रगान के सम्मान में अपने स्थान पर खड़े हो जाएं। ऑल राइज।
जनगण मन अधिनायक जय हे भारत भाग्य विधाता। पंजाब सिंध गुजरात मराठा द्राविड़ उत्कल बंगा। विंध्य हिमाचल यमुना गंगा उच्छल जलधि तरंगा। तब शुभ नामे जागे तब शुभ आशीष मांगे। गाहे तब जय गाथा जनगण मंगलदायक जय हे भारत भाग्य विधाता। जय हे जय हे जय हे जय 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 हे।
Ladies and gentlemen, with this we conclude our session 1. Please be relaxed and be seated. Session 2 will commence shortly. We are just waiting to rearrange our stage. I request everyone to be seated. Please be seated, ladies and gentlemen, students. It's going to be a very interesting round. Please be seated, ladies and gentlemen. It's going to be a very interesting session. You may take a bio break and come back. We'll hear the experience from our Principal Scientific Advisor, Professor Dr. Ajay Kumar Sood, followed by 2 young alumni of IIT Delhi talking about their startup. It's going to be an interactive session. बस प्रेसिडेंट वाला चेयर हटा दीजिए बाकी सब
लोड हो गया?
Your talk is loaded.
जरा देख लें।
हाँ देख लिया मैंने। When he will load the slide ना, this is forward backward.
और वो तो नहीं है ना इसमें कोई पॉइंटर?
ये होगा शायद, लग रहा है ना।
कौन सा? ये तो क्यों
ये पॉइंटर है।
पॉइंट अच्छा।
I think I'll take it.
PPT is loaded already?
हाँ loaded.
जरा एक लगा के देखिए।
हाँ।
पहली स्लाइड।
So I'm delighted to have Professor Dr. Ajay Kumar Sood, the Principal Scientific Advisor to Government of India, on the dais. I would request Professor Ashok Ganguly, Deputy Director Strategy and Planning IIT Delhi, on the dais. I would like to invite Professor P.V. Madhusudan Rao, our Dean Alumni, to be on the dais. Thank you. The other speakers will join us shortly. I request Professor Ganguly to kindly come and introduce our esteemed speaker.
Good afternoon, everybody. This is an honor and proud privilege to introduce Professor Ajay Kumar Sood, Principal Scientific Advisor to the Government of India. Professor Sood took over on 25th of April 2022, succeeding Professor K. Vijayaraghavan. Professor Sood is also the chairperson of the Prime Minister's Science, Technology and Innovation Advisory Council. He is a distinguished Year of Science professor at the Indian Institute of Science, Bangalore. He was earlier member of the Prime Minister's Science, Technology and Innovation Council from 18 to 22 and previously 2009 to 2014, and also member of the Science Advisory Council to the Prime Minister of India. Professor Sood has a doctorate in physics from Indian Institute of Science, Bangalore. His research interests include the physics of nanosystems and soft matter. He has published more than 450 papers in international journals and holds several patents. His work has been recognized by many awards, including Padma Shri, the fourth highest civilian award in India. He was president of the Indian National Science Academy, president of the Indian Academy of Sciences, and Secretary General of the World Academy of Sciences, Trieste, Italy. He was elected to the Fellowship of the Royal Society in 2015. He has also received earlier the Shanti Swarup Bhatnagar Prize, the G.D. Birla Award for Scientific Research, the TWAS Prize in Physics, the Millennium Gold Medal of the Indian Science Congress Association, the Sir C.V. Raman Award of the UGC, the Homi Bhabha Medal of the Indian National Science Academy, and the G.M. Modi Award for Science Technology, among others. Professor Sood served as the chairperson of the Governing Council of Raman Research Institute, member of the Vision Group of Nanotechnology, Government of Karnataka, chairperson of the Board of Governors, ICER Bhopal, and chairperson Board of Governors, ICER Mohali, and also he is the chairperson of the DST Committee of Vajra. So I invite Professor Ajay Kumar Sood, PSA to the Government of India, to give his distinguished lecture.
Thank you very much, Professor Ganguly. Also, a big thanks to the director, Professor Banerjee, and his team for having me for this keynote address. Indeed, I feel very privileged to be on this occasion, on this rather historic occasion, when IIT Delhi is celebrating the culmination of Diamond Jubilee celebration today. So while giving this topic, disruptive scientific revolutions at work, it's rather a very broad topic. I put it because I wanted to think aloud what we should be doing or what we are doing in S&T ecosystem and where we will be in 2013 and obviously then in 2047. So this is a collection of thoughts biased by our engagement at the Principal Scientific Advisor's Office. Some of them are being pursued there, and I am glad to see that you will see some resonance with what our Honorable President said and what we saw in Professor Banerjee's presentation on IIT roadmap and what it plans to do in coming years and what it is doing now. So I'm glad to see that this talk is not in isolation, but it is really embedded in what is happening in our science and technology ecosystem. So we all know there are 4 pillars of growth and sustainable development, which I will put as first education, science, technology and innovations. And on the right hand side, you have the 17 SDG goals, and we are all committed to adhere to these goals and achieve those goals as we go along. Now, this is a very famous diagram which talks about the balance between basic science and usefulness. So, on the x-axis, we have plotted consideration of use, how useful it is to the society, and the y-axis is the quest for fundamental understanding. So you can see that there are 3 quadrants which are named like the Bohr quadrant, the Pasteur quadrant and the Edison quadrant, and ideally what you would like to have, fundamental understanding high and the usefulness high, namely the top right quadrant, which is the Pasteur quadrant, use inspired basic research is what would be an ideal situation, and it is of course being followed in many cases. We have the other quadrant, pure basic research and pure applied research. What I want to add to this figure, this famous diagram, is the time axis on the third axis, which is not here. So So in my view, and I am sure many of you will agree, that there is no pure basic research quadrant which is not connected to the usefulness as a function of time. We all know how the crypto technology has evolved, which could not have been possible without algebraic geometry and other branches of maths. And GPS technology again embedded very heavily in basic science almost 70 years back. So this is a question of time when the basic science output, basic science feedback gets into the applied side. So there is a very dynamic process. So in this diagram, the time axis is important, and we should all realize that these are not easy to separate, calling application science or the basic science. Now, we have to realize that if we need to make progress in a leapfrog manner, we have to have disruptive ideas rather than incremental growth. And this cannot happen without fundamental science. So fundamental science has to dovetail into innovative ideas, including business model, and see what are the enabling technologies which will make it possible. So here for today's presentation, today's thought process, I have put 4 verticals. I'll mention a few examples of that. One in the healthcare sector, digital technologies, clean energy, and quantum technologies. These technologies are emerging. Some of them are at a pretty good stage, but lot more needs to be done. So I thought I'll share our thoughts with you and see how we can think together in these 4 verticals. Now quantum revolution, and you all know that the first revolution which really started in 1913 when Bohr gave a model and explained spectral lines of hydrogen atom in quantum mechanical terms. 1923 de Broglie proposed particle wave duality, and of course in 1925 the famous Schrodinger equation came along with the matrix mechanics of Heisenberg, Born and Jordan. This was the first revolution in quantum mechanics or quantum physics. It really showed that there are this enabled, quantum mechanics enabled things like transistors and lasers, and it was immediately realized that the special properties are because of quantum mechanics. But what is very different between first and second revolution is that the quantum systems are not being controlled. Here we are not talking of controlling the quantum systems at individual levels. And this is precisely what is happening in second revolution, which is happening now. So we are aiming, and we have succeeded to a great extent, controlling individual quantum systems, entangling individual qubits to transform information. And this is the second revolution I am talking about. So let me just give you 101 for 30 seconds on QM. All of you may not be in this domain. Just a quick thing, that in classical domain we talk of bits 0 and 1. So what is different here is we are not talking of 0 and 1 separately, but we are talking of superposition of these states, and the system can be in 0 and 1 simultaneously with the in the superposition principle. And what is also possible is the entanglement of these qubits. So the qubits is not 0 and 1, but the superposition state, which I have written A0 plus B1 state. And what is important here is the entanglement of these states. And so the quantum bits or the qubits, you have to realize that they are fragile, their superposition can break, and their entanglement can also be destroyed. So the measuring value of one qubit immediately determines the value of the second entangled qubit, which is a great thing when you are talking of quantum communication. So we need to create enough entangled qubits, this is the game, which are long lived to do useful calculations. Now there are many candidates now which are being pursued all over the world. For example, superconducting circuits, Josephson junctions, and trapped ions, and so on. So we will still do not know which one will win the race, but all these 5 or 6 possibilities are at a very advanced stage of being pursued all around the world, and we are at a very beginning stage to see what could be the advantages one over another. And this is what the quantum frontier is. So the first thing which you must have seen is this quantum supremacy. So this quantum supremacy refers to the problems which cannot be or impossible to do using classical computation, but you need quantum computers to really solve this problem. And that is the true meaning of quantum supremacy. This word was coined by John Preskill about 10 years back, and you must have seen a paper about 2 years back or 3 years back in Nature where Google claims quantum supremacy by making this quantum computer with 56 qubits which are entangled and performing certain job. So already there is a great hope and a success already demonstrated. So the point here is that if we have this system, there is the desire and the aim to make quantum simulator to simulate classical phenomena that classical computers cannot do, and that is the real quantum supremacy. So Charles Monroe has articulated very well that the biggest application of quantum simulators will be in optimization problems. For example, the traveling salesman and similar things, which are exponential in complexity. So the idea is, if we have such a simulator, can we really have quantum model of the photosynthetic molecule which I have shown on the left? You might have seen that this is a highly controversial topic where it has been debated even now whether the quantum coherence has anything to do with the high efficiency of photosynthetic process. The final verdict is still being debated, but probably not in coherent sense, but it's a great problem for a quantum simulator to see all the pathways which can be understood using quantum simulator for understanding this high efficiency. If we succeed in that, then of course we have a whole lot of possibilities open to apply to drug design, pharmaceutical, cellular functions, and so on. So this is what is a game changer will be in coming years. And question is, can India play some role in this frontier? So India has a mission on quantum technologies. This was discussed about 2.5 years back, 2 years back in PM Strike meeting. And in fact, I made a presentation at that time to our Honorable Prime Minister that India must launch quantum mission. And this is all done, and it's about to be launched with DST as the nodal agency and many other ministries involved, which will have 4 verticals: quantum computing, quantum communication, quantum sensing and metrology, and quantum materials and devices. And who will benefit is very obvious. All these sectors, right from communication, health, financial sector, energy, space, defense, transportation, and gigafactories will be the obvious beneficiary of this revolution. In quantum communication, I'll just take 1 or 2 minutes to again highlight what are the challenges for us, challenges for the young people. that we all know that classical messages are sent by encrypting, and then along with the message you sent a digital key to decode. Obviously, when you have a hacking, the key is hacked and you lose the information or you get it corrupted. The simplest idea is that when you do this, do the message, of course, the classical, the encrypted message you send in a normal way, but the key is quantum. So the encrypted data as classical bits over networks, while keys to decrypt are encoded and transmitted in a quantum state using qubits. And that is why you see many protocols of QKD, quantum key distribution. And now when you want to use entangled photons over fibers, obviously you will have restriction for few 110th kilometer because of the losses, and then you have to put repeaters. That is what is done in classical communication as well. Here the problem will be, how do you do that? So the process which has been already implemented in this already over 2000 kilometer by putting repeaters every 30 kilometer, that at every stage you decrypt and then you encrypt again after amplifying, and you keep on doing that. But this is not really sustainable or the efficient one, and it can be hacked at the point where this is happening. So the need of the hour is quantum repeaters, where quantum keys are decrypted into bits, and then this is what is happening. But to avoid that, you make quantum repeaters. And of course, quantum teleportation is the obvious step, using distributed entangled photons. And obviously, all of us dream that in few years we will have quantum internet, where challenge is to find reliable ways of churning out lots of linked photons on demand and maintaining their entanglement over long distances. This is the dream, and I am sure India should play a role and will play a role with the quantum mission launched. So this is a small baby step which has been done in recent time. There was a news. There are other things with IIT Delhi was shown. So this is quantum key distribution demonstrated over a short distance, but longer distance have also been done. And this is just to tell that we are already in this thing, but we need to do at a faster pace and in a more innovative manner. This is again to say that when we are talking of quantum, the new materials have to come. We have to see what are the possibilities of new materials like 2D materials and so on, and how the bulk semiconductors like silicon and gallium arsenide or gallium nitride can be beautifully supplemented using new materials based technologies. Second is the digital revolution. I have few minutes, about 7-8 minutes left, so I'll just point out few other 3 more verticals. Digital revolution is already happening. It's not something which we have to wait. Already you have artificial intelligence, machine learning in a big way, augmented reality, virtual reality, mixed reality coming. Internet of Things is already there, and blockchain technology. All these disruptions are in our reach. So what I want to just flag for a minute is the possibility of having virtual reality in a bigger way. So can we have this virtual reality as a disruptive technology for the next decade, where we have to go beyond gaming. Gaming industry is already very much into it, and enormous amount of talent exists in the gaming industry. So here it is predicted that augmented and virtual reality market grow to about 30 billion US dollar by 2030, and see whether India can play a dominant role. And COVID-19 has put the spotlight on this hands-free interactive technology, and it is unlikely that this focus will move for some time. And this has many challenges. We need to work on the hardware and the software. 5G technology obviously is a must, but even on the hardware like the VR headsets and so on, are really looking at us, these challenges, where Indian ecosystem, Indian startups can play a big role. So this is what you must have heard in the last few years, because Facebook named itself as Meta. So the metaverse, which is the buzzword which was coined by designer of this game Second Life. So here we are talking because the internet is mostly two-dimensional, 2D now, but the idea is that the internet will become three-dimensional, and this is what is called metaverse. So again, you must have seen Facebook is into a big way. It is only telling that there is a huge potential. It is not to advertise Facebook for me, but only to convey that many players are into it, and it is expected that this will be a huge market and huge innovation field as we go along. So these are some of the applications for science and society in metaverse. It's not only for games. You will have a huge potential in interactive science labs. In the remote corners, we could have this possibility where students can be educated, technology can be imparted through this metaverse, making education and science more accessible. Virtual commerce, of course, will flourish, and also we can have empowering of the workforce by this training using this metaverse, and strategic capacity building, for example, even astronaut training and so on. So this is not something like a science fiction, but it's a reality which is taking shape. So we are at a stage when we are ready to get into this in a much bigger way, and that's the reason I put it as the second vertical. The third vertical, very briefly, I'll tell you the health sector, which is at a cusp of a revolution. And nothing could be better said than the COVID-19 response we had as a country in the last 3 years. So we know that we had this mobile infection testing system, which really incorporates the BSL level 2 laboratory, which has all the diagnostics and all those things in this mobile van, where our office played some role through Strategic Alliance Division, partnering with the corporates to make it possible. Another one, which is something which is already happening in India, but it has to happen at a much bigger pace, is that we must go digital in this, of course, but also use the tools like machine learning, like deep thing, which was DeepMind, which was shown about 3 years back by Google. Many players are in this. So using the CAT scan, the data of the patient, you do this supervised or the unsupervised learning, and really it should become a norm. So when you do a CAT scan, the first take should be by these algorithms which tell you what could be the possible diagnostic. And of course, it will not replace completely the experts, but it will make their life much more easier and efficient. Already happening in many places in the world. In our country itself, there are few startups which are doing this, and it is a huge market for various diseases like in cardiovascular, liver and lung and so on. So this is how the healthcare will look like in 2030. You already have, for example, from the eHealth Kerala website, you can see that electronic health records for documenting patients' medical history are being done, and then you can have e-consultation. And on the right hand side, we have the health facilities equipped for basic screening, identifying the risk, and telemedicine through augmented reality and virtual reality. So I hope this can go in a much bigger way, not only cities, but also primary health care and so on. And this is what we should aim for in 2030. Now, this is a slide just to emphasize the medical devices is a huge potential which has just barely been tapped in India. If you go around the hospitals, you will see that 90% of the devices are imported or machines are imported, whether it is MRI, whether it is the ultrasound, whether it's the CAT scan and so on. Only in last few years, we have started making some progress. So this is a field which is hugely technology driven along with medical fraternity, and it will make a big difference. For example, I have shown first ever electrocardiograph on the left top, which now we have the early ECG machine, and now in recent years, we have mobile based ECG monitor which has been developed in our country. We had again some connection with this through our Agni mission of PSA office, which is why I have shown it. We also have enormous progress in MRI being made in India, and I hope it will come to the market very soon. The last one is the One Health mission, where we are not talking of the human health in isolation. We are talking of human, animal health and the wildlife together. COVID has taught us very, very clearly that you cannot take human health in isolation. There is a enormous crossover between these three domains and of course the environment, and you have to do this together. You should have an integral surveillance system, disease outbreak response and preventives for emerging diseases. So our office, Principal Scientific Advisor's Office, we have made a discussion with all the stakeholders to launch One Health mission. And already things are happening in few ministries. We are trying to see how to make it more holistic and more wholesome for making a difference, to look at the key emerging disease mapping and many, many things in surveillance and so on, which is, I hope, will be a norm rather than an exception in coming years. So this is what I have shown, that the disease preparedness is no different than actually the natural disaster, which I have shown on the left hand side, and below that you have this oxygen cylinders as they are refilled in the COVID time. So you need surveillance, you need investigation, you need outbreak response, and you need mobilization, exactly like natural these disasters. So it has to be considered in a disaster mode. So the last one is on the climate change, and what stares at us, our focus, all of us, without any exception, have to be on climate resilient development. A whole world is talking, India has committed to this, and the reason is very obvious. I will not dwell on it, that the CO2 emission, if you see, and the global warming after 1950, which is what the point I have written, has been a huge explosion of this, madness. So this madness has to be stopped, and on this right hand plot, I have plotted from the well-known report the global warming temperature, the temperature rise, and the cumulative carbon dioxide, which again you can see is very alarming if it really, if you have to prevent this global warming. So already it is a challenge. So the climate change is not an exception. The Europe heat wave, which you are all seeing, the water shortage, all those things are the reality. In India, we have enormous number of disasters, the cloud burst and so on. We have to really see how do we tackle this climate change possibilities, and no longer in a subdued manner. There are many verticals on this, which is what Prime Minister's goals of Panchamrit says, achieve net zero by 2070. So there are many, many interventions which are needed. And one of the intervention is a possibility, is to go green hydrogen route, which was also mentioned in Dr. Rangan Banerjee's talk, as well as in Honorable President's talk on these new technologies. So green hydrogen is the way, one of the ways, again just to say what this hydrogen means. H2O, very famous. Here we have various shades of hydrogen, but what we need to emphasize is to look at the green hydrogen, probably through the electrolysis route, using renewable electricity, not the conventional way of making electricity. Then it is really not green, because you will consume, you will again have the carbon addition. So this is what One recent examples, again, you would have seen from my alma mater, Indian Institute of Science, where the biomass produced hydrogen, converted into syngen by mixing it with steam, and that is shown to be much better source of hydrogen than the conventional way, conventional way of biomass. So again, lot of expectation. This is a roadmap produced by MNRE, which is very clear that we need to go on this. Good news is that the green hydrogen mission is about to be launched with many ministries involved, many labs involved, and again with a lot of encouragement coming from the government on this hydrogen mission. I will not close my talk to say that we have to go innovations on the way, right from development of electrolyzers in a very efficient manner to the from generation to the storage and then to the usage, for example in mobility sector using of course fuel cells, but also in fertilizer and steel industries. So I think I'll just mention, which is not what we are doing, fusion cannot be left behind. Fusion is on the way. Of course, it is taking time. The ITER program you would have seen, this has been delayed little bit, but it is on, and India is a partner in that. This is the site in France and various timelines, and India is a player in that, where it has the responsibility to make the cryogenic system, the cryostat for this ITER program. So India is very much there, which joined somewhere, which I have written here, 7th country to join, and we hope that in coming years we will see more progress in fusion. So let me close this talk by bringing the slide back where I started, that we have all this basic science, technology, innovation all put together to make the breakthrough in a disruptive manner and not in an incremental manner. And in my this talk, I just touched upon, without giving elaborate discussion or the details, and this is not exhaustive. It does not mean that there are not things outside. There are huge number of things which I did not touch upon. I touched upon on quantum revolution, I touched upon digital technologies, then healthcare and clean energy. So with this, I thank you once again, and I wish you at IIT and all the people who are connected with IIT and otherwise, another 75 years of excellence in your mission of this high quality education and promoting science, technology and innovation in a holistic manner. All the very best to you, and look forward to many, many more things from IIT Delhi. Thank you so much.
So, would you like to say any questions? We thank Professor Sood for his excellent talk. But if you want to have one or two questions, we can have that. Okay, so let us all thank Professor Sood for showing us the future of India. Thank you.
I would now like to invite Professor P.V. Madhusudan Rao to kindly introduce the next speakers.
So good afternoon. I'm really delighted to introduce speakers for the second keynote session today, Ms. Neetu Yadav and Kirti Jangra, who are founders of highly acclaimed startup Animal, which aims to improve the lives of dairy farmers in a meaningful way. Both Kirti and Neetu are our alumni and obtained their BTech degree in civil engineering 6 years back. After their graduation, both of them worked for 4 years before founding Animal. They started Animal about 2.5 years back with a modest seed fund of 50 lakhs. During last 2.5 years, they were able to take Animal from a small startup to a big venture. Animal app is now downloaded by more than 1 crore farmers, facilitating 12 lakh online cattle buying and selling transactions worth rupees 6,000 crores. For this effort, both Kirti and Neetu were honored by Forbes by making them a part of this year's Super 30 Under 30 list. In this session, Neetu and Kirti will share their journey from IIT hostel room, which they actually shared, to Animal. Their journey signifies entrepreneurial aspirations of current generation of IIT Delhi students and alumni. It embodies women power. Their journey also exemplifies courage to take paths less traveled. Kirti and
Hello. Hi everyone. So first of all, I would still say that we are still a small startup. We are still not a very big venture. But anyway, starting with my own intro. So hi, I'm Neetu. Like in Kailash Hostel, 2016 pass out from civil engineering. I'm very happy to be here after 6 years. So yeah, I think you can intro yourself.
Hi everybody, I'm Kirti. First of all, thank you to Professor Rao for inviting us here, and congratulations to IIT Delhi for completing for the Diamond Jubilee. And to all the students graduating this year and their parents, it's really a dream come true. IIT changed our lives, and I'm sure that it would have changed everybody's lives who has come in IIT. So I'd start with myself. I'm Kirti Jangra. I am from a town called Hisar in Haryana. I prepared for IIT for about 3 years, and then joined civil engineering here in IIT Delhi in 2012, graduated 16, Kailash Hostel, if anybody from Kailash is here. And post that, like sir introduced, worked for MNC for about 4 years and then started Animal. Animal's been Neetu and my dream since college, where we both were roommates and we used to think ki bhai saath mein startup karenge, that we would start something together. And eventually an idea came about and Neetu would talk about it, and we started Animal. Really glad to be here to be sharing our journeys.
So, like as I said earlier, we haven't really achieved a lot yet. We are still very small, so we do not have any particular gyan to give, to be honest. But what we can do is that we can share our journey, how we started and what are we trying to do. And I think it would be more meaningful if it becomes more of a Q&A than just a one-sided conversation. So I'll just start with what Animal is and how it came about. So as Kirti said, even from college, we were roommates from first year. We were roommates for complete 4 years in college, and we had this dream of starting something together. Even in college, we had a very small venture where we started building mini coolers, which we called KNCC, Kirti Neetu Cooler Company. So it's like that we had this dream of working together and building something from scratch. So and even after college, while Kirti was in Gurgaon, I was in Pune working with Citibank as an analyst. And even though we were in different cities, we were in touch and we used to discuss ideas ki is pe kaam kar lete hain, us pe kaam kar lete hain. And after 3 years, in 2019, we actually participated in a internal hackathon where I was working, in the company called Pratilipi. And the theme of the hackathon was to build for the next 1 billion users, build for Bharat. And we have this bias that whenever we think of Bharat, the primary person that comes to our mind is a farmer, because eventually who lives in Bharat? It's a farmer. And whenever we think of a farmer, there are just primarily two aspects to it. One is that agriculture, and another one is animal husbandry, and within that is essentially dairy farming. And me and Kirti, both coming from farming background, like my parents are also farmers. So we had this very hands-on knowledge about how dairy farming works and why do people even have cattle in the first place. Okay? So we thought that, and we also understood very well that how big a role dairy farming plays in the life of a dairy farmer. From the outside, it looks that the primary income of a farmer actually comes from agriculture, but it's not really the case. Almost 40% of the income for a farming household actually comes from dairy farming. And dairy farming is the only consistent source of income for most of the farmers in India. We understood that very, very well, and so we thought, okay, let's do something in dairy farming space. And when we saw, okay, what to do within dairy farming, we realized, okay, since we were in IIT, we always knew about the tech, like AI, ML, AR, VR, all of that, and we realized कि यार अपन AI, ML की बातें कर रहे हैं, but इंडिया में तो भी e-commerce ही नहीं है, जो भारत है उसमें तो भी e-commerce ही नहीं है. जो लोग अभी the farmers who trade cattle worth 50,000 rupees, and there is no straightforward way to buy or sell a cattle. When we buy an earphones worth 1,500 rupees, we have literally hundreds of options to choose from online, even to buy a 1,500 rupees earphones. So we thought, okay, it's clearly unfair, and I think now we have the tech, and thanks to Jio and all, we also have accessible internet to Bharat. So probably we can do something better, within cattle trading. So hence we started with building the most effective platform to trade cattle in India, with the vision that we want to build a one-stop shop for the dairy farmers, where anything and everything around cattle is available on one single platform. So that's been a journey. That's how we started. Would you like to share from here on?
Happy to. I think post this maybe we can do a Q&A. Another 2-3 minute thing that I wanted to share was about entrepreneurship and starting up, and how IIT Delhi in our case played a contribution to it. Is that what we learned here at IIT and how it proved out to be very meaningful and relevant in our entrepreneurial journey is what I wanted to talk about. Primarily 3 things. I think one, starting with resourcefulness. When you enter IIT, at least when we entered IIT, both of us, it was so new. We came from small towns, and it was a college with 4,000 people, huge classrooms, everything Delhi-sized, while we came from small towns. And IIT taught us that how within the resources that you have, how do you utilize your resources the best. And that's what we took away in our entrepreneurial journey as well, that it is about that how do you make use of what you have. Like sir said that we started with 50 lakh rupees. In fact, we didn't even start with 50 lakh rupees. We started with perhaps 2 lakh. It was 0, but then we put in 2 lakh rupees. And how do you make something from scratch with the available resources that you have is something we learned here at IIT. Second thing I think that we learned here was truly the spirit of being with very, very smart people and thriving within them. Everybody in IIT comes from places where they are the toppers, where they are the smartest kids. And when put in together in an environment where everybody is highly competitive, everybody is trying to do best, how do you in that space still do your best? How do you surround yourself with really, really smart people and build something? That's what IIT taught us. And Third, I think what's really, really valuable is that IIT taught us innovation for people, innovation for India, and that's what we're trying to do at Animal, that picking up a problem and trying to problem solve it at a level where it can be useful to people, and that innovation spirit that IIT inculcated in us long back, I think that's what is foundation for our entrepreneurial journey. So, of course, many thanks to IIT Delhi. But yeah, that's what we wanted to share in terms of our journey and IIT's role in it. Happy to answer any questions.
This side. So I think the floor is now open for questions. Actually, both Neetu and Kirti wanted it to be more interactive, and the floor is open. In fact, I had one question, is that a lot of your startup has to do with vernacular languages, correct? This app is not something which probably where English is a common language, which is very common. So how do you deal with, let's say, this multilingual, or let's say, doing app in other than English?
Yeah. So, so we started our app only in Hindi language, and actually within that also it's not just Hindi. So what we actually heavily rely on is A/B experiment. I don't know how many of you are aware about it. So for example, अब जैसे price होता है. For example, you and me will talk about the word price of a cattle. ठीक है? But as you go from say Rajasthan to Haryana to Gujarat, ऐसा नहीं होगा कि वो हर कोई प्राइस बोल रहा होगा. So even we have experimented with the fact कि which word is the dairy farmer comfortable with. Is it rate? Is it price? Is it mulya? Is it is it कीमत? Is it something else? So we actually do a lot of research about even the smallest of the words. कि किस शब्द के साथ डेयरी फार्मर ज़्यादा कंफर्टेबल है. अगर हम पशु का मूल्य बोलते हैं तो उसको अच्छे से समझ में आता है, या रेट या कीमत. सो आई थिंक इट्स अ लॉट ऑफ रिसर्च एंड just talking to a lot of dairy farmers. So even before we officially started Animal, we talked to at least 1,000 dairy farmers even before officially starting Animal. So essentially, to really understand that, we should know who are we building for, how do they think, what do they want, what are their pain points. So to understand all of that, we've actually interviewed a lot of dairy farmers, and we continue to do that.
Any other question? Okay, I think somebody has a question. I think there are quite a few hands on.
Hi, I'm Kanishka and I am from Kailash. So my question is basically, so you made this app for basically farmers, and so as we all know that farmers are basically, not exactly educated and not really, technically advanced. So my question is basically, how are you, getting your app reached out to them, and what is basically your future plan to, so that it could reach the lowest level, where the farmers are working, or where all the animal husbands are present?
So I would like to start with correcting this myth that that there's not enough penetration of digital technologies in rural India. If you would see, the highest views on YouTube videos are from rural areas. If you would see the most number of people utilizing WhatsApp, it is in rural areas. A kid living in rural area, 10 years of age definitely be using YouTube, WhatsApp, Google, and with last 2 years in COVID, even a lot of government schools in rural areas ran on Gmeets. So first of all, it's how we think that internet's limited to us, but internet's far more powerful. It has reached rural India. When it comes to people using, people not educated enough using technology, I think that's the beauty of technology. That when it's made in a simple way, when it's made in a way where it's extremely usable, you don't need to know. A lot of times you don't need to know which button does what. It's instinct. And that's the beauty of great UX or great user interface. And that's what we rely on. At one point in our app, there were no words. People don't need to read to be able to utilize the app. It is just so intuitive that when you start pressing buttons, you automatically know what's going to do what. So to answer your question, I think A, there's enough penetration of internet in India, and B, it's more about the design of the app and the user interface and user experience. And once both of these things combine, there's enough word of mouth, there's enough channels to reach out to people who are in rural India. In fact, last month is when we crossed 1 crore downloads, and that's highest for any agriculture app in India. In fact, it's the second highest in the world, and that is only possible because the app has a use case. It has a strong value proposition that people are willing to use it for.
Hi, this is Anil Sikka this side, and I am 2005 Masters in MTech in Management and Systems graduate, postgraduate. I'm very impressed with this animal. I mean, and I'm very happy to know that even after working for 4 years, you could reconnect and build something like animal. The first question is, how was the response, or when you got your first contact on your app, and what is the contact level today? Thank you.
Sorry, like what did you mean? Contact? What do you mean by it?
Is this the first download?
Yeah, first download or first response from somebody or first contract, or whatever it is.
Okay, sure. So actually we started with Jaipur area, Jaipur rural. So when we first launched our website, there was no app at that time, it was only website. And we started marketing it through Facebook in rural India. And at the time we just asked them that if you want to buy or sell a cattle, just fill your phone number over here. And then they would fill in the number, and then we would actually talk to them and take their requirement manually. कि ओके इसको मुर्रा भैंस चाहिए, दूसरे ब्यात की चाहिए, इतना दूध वाली चाहिए, और इस ब्यात all the information which is required about the cattle, all of that we would actually personally gather, and then we would go back and see कि okay हमारे पास जो पशु available हैं उसमें से उनका कौन सा requirement fill होता है, and then we would actually match them. So for the first 2 months actually we used to talk to almost every user. हर जो dairy farmer हमारा app use करता था, हम उनसे पर्सनली बात करते थे. एंड एक्चुअली उसी टाइम पे हमें जैसे एक और जो इंसाइट आई थी, वो ये भी आई थी कि जैसे IIT में आके या फिर आफ्टर कॉलेज इन व्हेन यू आर वर्किंग इन MNCs एंड ऑल, आप फर्स्ट नेम से एड्रेस करना स्टार्ट कर देते हो. बट व्हेन वी स्टार्टेड टॉकिंग टू द डेयरी फार्मर्स, वी रियलाइज कि वो आपके नाम के आगे जी लगाते हैं, एंड अगर आप जी नहीं लगाओगे तो उनको रूड फील होता है. So even till today, if you see our app, you will see कि राकेश जी की मुर्रा भैंस. We do not just say कि राकेश की भैंस. We add that G because we know कि how useful it is for them. So yeah, to answer your question A, we used to talk to them personally, actually on call. And to answer your second question, yeah, as Kirti said, we just crossed 1 crore installs of the app, which means that 1 crore dairy farmers own the app, cumulatively in the last 2.5 years.
I think one last question.
Okay.
Yeah.
Hello. Hello. I'm happy that you are under 30 and between, 30 under 30. My question is, did working in MNC help you about this establishment of successful startup? Because there are many people who try to do any startup and they fail. Did you understand my question? Working in MNC did help you in this establishment of successful startup.
Did you understand the question?
Hello, ma'am. Adding.
Them answer and then.
Adding to his question only.
Okay.
When you आपने कहा कि आप कॉलेज में थे तो भी आपने स्टार्टअप करा था, तो आपको उससे क्या चीज़ें सीखने को मिली और मतलब क्या क्या चैलेंजेस आए? क्योंकि आपने बोला कूलर से रिलेटेड कुछ किया था, तो मतलब हमने भी कुछ वैसा किया था, बट ड्यू टू सम रीजंस वो चीज़ नहीं हो पाया, तो आपका क्या चीज़ें थी कि वो मैनेज नहीं हो पाया अच्छे से, और वही जो उन्होंने बताया कि प्रोफेशनल काम करने में आपने करा तो उससे आपको क्या क्या हेल्प मिली?
So I'll start with this question first and then move to that. To be very honest, in college, we thought that we are thinking big, but we were not thinking that big. It was like a very small idea, and it would have only been relevant for IIT people because they did not have access to coolers. Otherwise, coolers are available now. So for us, the biggest learning at that point was that you have to think big. Like you have to think of a big market, big problem. Of course, your problem, everybody has tens of problems, but you have to think which is the most common problem that many people are facing. So that when you build for a really large market, or when you build for a really large problem. So from the college startup, of course, that was the biggest learning. Moving on to whether MNC or in general, what helped. For me personally, I think I went into management consulting. It did help. And in my humble opinion, I think anywhere you work is somewhat going to help if you're going to put your 100% in trying to solve a problem. Any place you work at, you're going to try to solve a problem. So if you just learn problem solving to its core in first principles way, in fundamental problem analytical thinking, then I think any experience of course will help. But like any other thing, startups also have failure rate. And if you pick anything, everything has large failure rate. Matlab, be it cracking IIT or be it starting a company or be it cracking UPSC, everything has large failure rates. It's just I think it's perseverance, determination, commitment to the problem statement and the spirit to keep at it, which in my opinion matters more. You want to add anything?
Okay. Okay, I think probably that's one question there.
Hello, I'm Hariom Gupta, graduated in 1967. I just want to know, I did my graduation in civil engineering. How the knowledge of civil engineering helped you in getting into animal husbandry?
So there is add to that. तुम लोग civil engineering करने आए थे क्या IIT?
So, glad to know this question has been going on from 1967.
So I think I don't know about civil, but I think in general, just being in IIT, you have to really be at your best continuously to even succeed within IIT, because all the people in IIT have already cracked JEE. So these are already the smart bunch, right? So I think just that spirit maybe, being at your best. उससे पहले ये जो था कि बस एक बार IIT मतलब जेई क्रैक कर लो फिर मतलब लाइफ सेट है, ठीक है. व्हेन यू कम टू IIT वो जो वहम होता है वो टूट जाता है, एंड देन यू कंटिन्यूसली हैव टू बी एट योर बेस्ट. आई थिंक like just that spirit like really gets into you. I don't know apart from that whether civil engineering particularly helped.
I think I would like to add a little bit to that. There are, of course, if there were, let's say 30 courses, maybe 20 were extremely technical and unka direct application nahi hai, but there are some courses and some professors where you learn fundamental problem solving. I think I had couple of courses like that. They really helped. So I would say not exact technical knowledge of civil engineering, but the problem solving, be it in civil engineering or mechanical or computer science, just that problem solving ability and approaches, they were helpful for sure.
Yeah.
Ma'am.
Okay, last question.
My name is Mamta और सोशल वर्कर कोरोना वायरस IIT दिल्ली. तो मेरा क्वेश्चन ये है मैम, जैसे ऑनलाइन ट्रांजैक्शन होता है तो उसमें आपका योगदान क्या रहता है?
आप डू यू मीन हमारा हम यूजफुल कब होते हैं, या फिर आप पूछ रहे हो कि हमारा कमीशन क्या रहता है?
यस मैम.
विच वन? दोनों.
Okay, so we actually have like two business models. एक business model है which is completely like discovery platform, जहाँ पे ये होता है कि anyone who wants to like sell their cattle, they simply come on the platform, like put all the parameters of the pashu, like वीडियो, उसकी ब्यात, उसका like lactation, milk yield, all of that information, and जब वो एक बार अप्रूव हो जाता है, like जब वो आ जाता है प्लेटफॉर्म पे, उसके बाद वो हमारी एक मतलब सेंट्रल वो होती है कॉलिंग मतलब क्वालिटी टीम होती है, उसके पास जाता है, फिर वो अप्रूव करते हैं, फिर वो ऐप पे आता है. सो वो पूरा जो बिजनेस ऐप है वो कम्प्लीटली फ्री है. सो एसेंशियली द एनिमल ऐप दैट इज देयर ऑन प्ले स्टोर, इट इज लाइक प्राइमरली फ्री, कि एनीवन हु वांट्स टू बाय और लाइक सेल कैटल, दे like come on the platform, they see their like relevant cattle, और मतलब like सीधा seller से बात करते हैं, and then like they can actually go visit the seller. अगर उनको पशु पसंद आ रहा है, मिल्किंग करके देख लें, अगर अच्छा लगता है तो like मतलब they can completely like complete the transaction on their own, मतलब that is completely free. Now come and हमारा योगदान उसमें ये है कि अगर आप इसको कंपेयर करो कि अगर एनिमल लाइक नहीं होता, उस सिनेरियो से कंपेयर करते हो, तो ये है कि पहले अगर आपको एक पशु खरीदना है, यू हैव नो आइडिया एज ए डेयरी फार्मर कि आपके पसंद का पशु किसके पास अवेलेबल है, कि आपके गांव में है कि नहीं है, आपके गांव के 5 किलोमीटर दूर है, 15 किलोमीटर दूर है, यू हैव नो आइडिया. लाइक आप लाइक उनके पास जो पहले जो तरीका होता था वो ये था कि लाइक दे जस्ट यूज टू गो door by door, village by village to figure out the right पशु. तो the value add from our end is that आप जो भी available पशु हैं आपको एक ऐप पे एक साथ दिख रहे हैं. Now coming to how we make money is that we see that okay किस टाइप के पशु की रिक्वायरमेंट कहाँ है और वो कहाँ अवेलेबल है. सो फॉर एग्जाम्पल वी नो कि हरियाणा में मुर्रा भैंस बहुत होती हैं, ठीक है, और हैदराबाद में उसकी रिक्वायरमेंट बहुत होती है. सो फॉर एग्जाम्पल एक टिपिकल जो डेयरी फार्मर है, दे कैन नॉट रियली विजिट फ्रॉम हैदराबाद टू हरियाणा फॉर अ कैटल, बिकॉज 1 लाख रुपए की भैंस है, 50,000 रुपये आपका जो पूरा ट्रक वर्क का जो खर्चा उसमें हो जाएगा. सो व्हाट वी डू इज दैट हम एक प्लेस ए से लाइक प्लेस बी तक हम पूरा जो ट्रांजैक्शन है हम कंप्लीटली लाइक हम ओन करते हैं. सो वी एसेंशियली लाइक बाय अ कैटल फ्रॉम हरियाणा, मतलब टेक इट टू हैदराबाद, एंड देन एनी फार्मर हु वांट्स टू बाय दैट काइंड ऑफ कैटल विच इज नॉट ऑलरेडी अवेलेबल इन देयर एरिया, तो फिर वो हम उनको बेचते हैं, एंड वहाँ फिर हम हमारा कमीशन बनाते हैं.
थैंक यू.
Okay, thanks. I think I know there are quite a few hands are on, but I think keeping probably the next program in mind, I think we thank both Neetu and Kirti for visiting and sharing their journey and for this wonderful journey.
Hold on. So thank you Neetu ji, and Kirti ji. That's all tongue in cheek. Yeah. So, sir, thank you very much for this lively live session. I request Professor Madhusudan Rao to kindly felicitate the young girls. We have some plaque for them as well. May I request the girls here to kindly bring in the plaque? Yeah. I request everyone to be seated for a few more minutes, and I would like to request Professor Saha and Professor Vivek Bua to kindly come and propose the vote of thanks.
So, good afternoon all, and this is our pleasant duty to propose a vote of thanks, two of us. Vivek is just sitting here. So, what we decided is maybe I will share a little bit of where we started, and now he will do the last part. So, it's a great opportunity, both of us, me and Professor Vivek Buha as chairperson of the Diamond Jubilee Committee, to propose vote of thanks, which the celebration was done over the last 2 years. While I will share the bit of journey of the last 2 years, he will take care of the present one. So, the committee of DJ celebration started in 2020 January, and immediately we hit by a COVID pandemic. Since there are a lot of uncertainties even with our inauguration, but online tools have helped us to beat. We had virtual inauguration where our Honorable Vice President, then Venkaiah Naidu, was our chief guest. Our ex-directors also shared their experiences, and today we have Professor Sebgaonkar here, and Surendra Prasad just left, amongst many others. Thank you, sirs, for being grace to this function as well. We did plan many things like mobile van for the school children and then outdoor exhibitions, but because of restrictions on expenditures, we cut down all those things and limited to very few token things like providing the keychains to all DJ graduating students, all faculty staff with the calendars and stuff like that, very nominal. Then came for this closing ceremony last year. When the time came, we thought maybe we should have the closing on physical, which we succeeded today. But let me thank Professor Subhas from Department of Design and his team, for the DJ logo creations and the booklet which was released today. Dr. Manish Agarwal and his team from Computer Services Center for maintaining our websites. All the DJ members, about 17, 18 of those who have been time to time guiding us and kind of supporting us. And that way, I would like to finally say thanks to our the staff, young staff, Saurabh, who has been doing all the running around. And now let me hand over to Vivek to share how the things behind the scenes for today's functions. Vivek.
Good evening to all of you. I know that you have been here for the last several hours, and I'm standing between you and the high tea, which is waiting in the lecture hall complex. But I must also do my duty of thanking several people who have made this function possible in a best way. So first of all, I would like to thank Mr. Sood for accepting our invitation and giving an exciting lectures. Many thanks to Neetu and Kirti for coming here and sharing your experiences. I think that was very interesting for students. We had large number of questions there. So thank you very much. It was a lot of learning for me as an individual when you organize such big functions where you have high-level dignitaries like President of India, ministers, etc. So there are hundreds and hundreds of people who are working behind the scene to make such a function possible. And I must thank several directors' office. Bhaskar has been working tirelessly in coordinating with lots of agencies, etc. estate and works people, literally hundreds and hundreds of people. I have lots of interesting stories. I mean, in fact, it was a learning experience for myself, and there are lots of stories to share, but let me not do that. The entire estate and works team has worked relentlessly, in particularly Dean Infra and his team, particularly Rajiv Kumar ji, the institute engineer. It's been incredible support. Managing security is always a challenge for dignitaries like President, Ministers. So security team, Sandeep Sharma and his team, Dean Academics and his team for managing the venue, invitations and, seating, etc. Dean Alumni for inviting a large number of alumni, also inviting and taking care of Kirti and Neetu. Dean Faculty, Dean International Relations, we have several guests from the international offices, so many thanks to Naveen and his team. Dean Students, Establishment, Dr. Deepika Bhaskar, Dr. Vyas, Alan, Dr. Bhattacharya, and many have helped. The entire DG committee, Priyanka who's here, ETSC, the Public Relations Officer, many have helped in a great way to make such a function successful. So thank you, all of you. And of course, there are a lot many names I should be taking, but because of short of time, I will not be able to thank. So many thanks to hundreds of such people who have contributed. So we now come to the end. We have organized a high tea in the lecture hall complex. So all of you are invited to lecture hall. It's just a minute walk from here. And then at 6 o'clock, back here in Dogra Hall, we'll have a concert by Padma Vibhushan Pandit Hariprasad Chaurasia, which is organized by Speak Mackay at 6 o'clock. So you're all invited again back to the Dogra Hall at 6 o'clock. So thank you very much and enjoy your tea. Bye.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir. Thank you.